Hello and a very warm welcome, viewers. You're watching the brand new edition of To The Point with your host, Kriti Mishra. Atmanirbhar Bharat 3.0 mission COVID Suraksha was announced by Government of India to accelerate the development and production of indigenous COVID vaccines. And Hyderabad-based Indian Immunologicals Limited, the public sector unit under the National Dairy Development Board, has announced that it has been working on an indigenous vaccine for COVID-19. And joining us today on the program is Dr. K. Anand Kumar, Managing Director of Indian Immunological Limited. Sir, welcome to Sunset TV and thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Dr. Anand, IIL is one of the largest producers of foot and mouth disease vaccine in the world and was the first in India to launch the purified varicella rabies vaccine for humans and second globally. Now the stage is set for the company to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. Take us through the journey, sir.
Okay. As you rightly said, Indian Immunologicals Limited is a subsidiary of the National Dairy Development Board and was established in 1982 with the sole purpose of making animal vaccines. And we started with the foot and mouth disease vaccine, and we are one of the largest producers in the world. And subsequent to that, we started developing various other vaccines for cattle. And then we also started making vaccines for sheep and goat. And we are the only producer of companion animal vaccines in the country. Somewhere in 1999, based on a request from the government of India, Indian Immunologicals Limited, which was purely an animal vaccine company, got into the human vaccine segment to produce human rabies vaccine. Because the rabies vaccine at the time was sheep brain derived and had some safety related issues. So our honors was to start development work on a very, very safe rabies vaccine. So we have developed the world's second and India's first virocell-based rabies vaccine. And today we are one of the largest producers of rabies vaccine in the world. We also produce various other vaccines for Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, such as pentavalent vaccine, DPT, and also hepatitis B. Now, when this whole pandemic started, somewhere in March 2020, we decided that this is a great opportunity to, as a company, to come and provide a solution for this COVID-19 disease. So what we did is, as you know, there are various platforms available to develop a vaccine. And what we had in mind is, because we realized very early that this is a vaccine that has to be administered to the entire population of the country. So which means that you have to administer vaccines to more than 1 billion people. So we have to bear in mind that there are some criteria that we use. One, it should be a platform or a technology that can be adapted quickly to our manufacturing facilities that we have. There's no point in going for a technology where we have to totally build a new plant or design an entirely new process. So we want to make sure that what we are working on fits in very well with our manufacturing setup. Next is we wanted to have a vaccine which is very, very cost effective, because for a population of this size, and if you have to vaccinate people at all ages, then it becomes very, very demanding on the government if they have to spend a lot of money. So we always wanted that it should be very, very cost effective. And the other thing is we wanted to develop it in quick speed, and for which we have tied up with Griffith University in Australia, whom we have already earlier partnered for developing a Zika vaccine. So our platform that we wanted to come up with was a live attenuated vaccine, codon deoptimized live attenuated vaccine. The advantages of this live attenuated vaccine is that one, it's cost effective. Another is it's well known that live attenuated vaccines stimulate both humoral, that is the antibody responses, as well as cell-mediated responses, and also provides lifelong immunity. So in the sense that if you take 1 or 2 shots at the maximum, then it would give enough immunity for a long duration of time, compared to a lot of other vaccines and other platforms where you have to give frequent boosters. For a country like ours to call people and to repeatedly and then to give boosters, it's going to be a very, very Herculean task. So we just wanted to make sure, one, it's cost effective, and the number of times it has to be administered also should be very, very minimal. So in terms of where we are now with the development of vaccine, normally a live attenuated vaccine, like there are live attenuated vaccines currently being used in the country as well. For example, the measles vaccine, the rubella vaccine, and normally it would take about 7 to 8 years to develop a live attenuated vaccine. But what we have done is there is a technology called codon deoptimization technology, which Along with our collaborators in Australia, Griffith University, we have now developed this in about a year's time. So that's rapid speed given the challenges having to use this particular technology. Now, as I speak to you, we have successfully completed studies in mice and in hamsters. We are getting very good immune response, and also it's been demonstrated that it's safe in these two animal species. Now, we are actually undertaking a study in France where we will do studies in non-human primates. And subsequently, when the results are available, most probably by August end, we will be making an application for human trials in India. So
All
that's the
right.
kind of development.
Yes, sir. So what are the timelines that you're looking at for the rollout of the vaccine, sir?
So we are, I mean, if we start our trials like probably end of August, where we seek permission, and if like say if I mean these days the Drug Controller General of India's office, they're also working extremely hard to ensure that all the application proposals are reviewed in quick time and then approvals are also given. So we are hoping that we should have the vaccine in the first quarter of next year, having completed all the phase 1 and trials as well.
So as you said, that development of vaccine takes to 8 to 9 years. And now it was in 1 year that the entire procedure was worked upon. In such a scenario, what are the questions on efficacy? How is the entire process carried on?
See, in a pandemic situation like this, you cannot do everything real time. In the sense that you cannot determine, under typical normal circumstances, you would determine various factors, including duration of immunity upfront. But now there's no time for all that. So, like all other companies which have been licensed, some of these studies would have to go parallel. All you have to do is initially you need to prove that it's safe, and then you have to prove that it stimulates enough antibody response, and then subsequently all the other things like duration of immunity and other aspects of the vaccine would be studied concurrently.
All right. So, sir, how have you repurposed the existing facility for the COVID-19 vaccines?
Okay. This is another aspect that we always had in mind, like given the time it would take for our vaccine candidate to be developed, we always said that for the sake of our country, should any other manufacturer come with a licensed vaccine, we would be always be willing to spare our vaccine production capacity for them, because today, as you rightly know, there's a lot of shortage of vaccine, and it's paramount that we start manufacturing as many million doses as possible, so that the entire population can be vaccinated in a very short period of time. So as a result of this, like we have multiple facilities across India, and what we did is we understand through Bharat that there is a shortage of Covaxin, and so we started talking to them as to how we could collaborate together to increase the Covaxin's production capacity in the country. So what we did is we tried to understand Bharat's processes and try to see which of these processes will fit in one of our facilities so that we could start making Covaxin drug substance. So we identified one facility in Hyderabad, and that facility currently manufactures rabies vaccine. We have 2 sites in India which makes rabies vaccines. So what we have done is we have significantly increased the output in the other site so that this particular facility can be used for Covaxin manufacture. So we did that, and in a very record-breaking time. All this discussion started just probably in the 3rd week or 4th week of March this year, and within 3-4 weeks we had all the agreements signed with Bharat. And what we also did is in the interim, we did the technology transfer from Bharat to Indian Immunologicals. And one good thing with IIL is that because of years of expertise in vaccine manufacturing, it was relatively easy to get the technology to IIL, and also we have undertaken three batches, trial batches now in IIL, and the yield and the quality parameters all is satisfactory. It has been tested by both Bharat and by IIL. And now that the 3 trial batches are over, the yields and quality parameters are all okay. Now we will go into large scale manufacturing in our facility.
Large-scale manufacturing, sir. But before that, there was this transfer of technology. How complex is the entire task?
For people in the know, like especially for our kind of people who are highly competent and who have been in this business for long periods of time, making all kinds of complex vaccines, it was relatively, I would say, for us, it was relatively easy.
Okay. And sir, upgrading the infrastructure.
Yeah, see, because like you need to suit the facility to the process that comes by, and so you would require that you need to repurpose this existing facility to meet that requirement. And also, we have to ensure that because since we have different levels of containment, and it should meet certain guidelines, and also should meet with what Bharat is following in their own facility. So we have now repurposed. Basically, we have undertaken some engineering controls. We have put in some administrative controls, and we also put in some process controls to ensure that the technology that is transferred is mimics exactly what happens in Bharat.
Okay. And sir, you've also been identified to collaborate with Bharat Biotech to enhance the production of drug substance for making the vaccine. What is this drug substance, sir? A lot of us will not understand this component.
So a vaccine typically has two parts. One is the drug substance and then the drug product. The drug substance is, it's like in the pharmaceutical parlance, what you would call as an API, active pharmaceutical ingredient. We call it as a drug substance in the vaccine world. So the drug substance is the most complex part in the sense that it is the part where you actually have to grow the virus, purify the virus, and also ensure that all the other impurities all removed from the virus. So that's the most difficult part in vaccine manufacturing. It's like almost like 80 to 90% of vaccine manufacturing is on the drug substance part. Okay. So once you made the drug substance, then probably then the next stage would be to make the drug product. So when you want to make a drug product, it would mean that you would take the drug substance and then you would add a certain buffer, you would add some stabilizers, you would add some preservatives. So that becomes now and then you fill it in vials and then you stopper it, and that becomes the vaccine in a vial form. So that's the drug product. So we are going to now make the drug substance, which is the bulk, and then provide it to Bharat, and then Bharat will then formulate it with an adjuvant, and then we'll fill it into vials and then stopper it. So Bharat's responsibility is to make the drug product. IL's responsibility remains to make the drug substance.
All right, sir. This is perhaps for the first time that we are facing this kind of contingency or emergency. What are the challenges that the company is facing right from making the drug substance to even developing an indigenous vaccine?
See, currently, as I said, the technology transfer aspects have gone relatively smoothly between the two companies, and we don't see any problems in the technology side. And since logistics, it's not a difficult task either, because our companies are situated hardly 10 kilometers away. So just making the drug substance and then delivering it to Bharat doesn't have to travel several miles. So that logistics part is also well taken care of. So we don't see any issues really, and especially for a company like ours who have multiple manufacturing sites. Generally, if you see most of the vaccine manufacturing, similar consumables and raw materials also to a certain extent are used. So even if something is missing somewhere, it's always possible to bring it from another site and keep the manufacturing going. So I don't see any major challenges in terms of either manufacture or technology or logistics or supply chain related issues.
All right, Government of India has also been very proactive in providing financial assistance as well.
Yes, yes. Actually, we did approach the Department of Biotechnology, and through BIRAC, we did present our case in front of various committees. And in principle, we have been approved a sum of 60 crore rupees, and which we will use it in two phases actually. Phase one is where we are repurposing an existing facility to make Covaxin, and that facility will give about 2 to 3 million doses a month. We are also building a new facility in the same campus, where which is going to come in operational probably in November of this year, November or December of this year, which will add another 5 to 6 million. So totally, we would be able to give about close to 8 to 10 million doses a year.
So, but with this kind of expansion of capacity, you also need manpower. How quickly do you skill them? How quickly do you train them?
Yeah, that's a good question that you've asked. See, manpower for the existing facility where we were already making rabies, so they are available now pretty much, and this same manpower will be used for making Covaxin as well. Now, for the new facility, which is going to come up in November, December, we already started the process of hiring and screening, and we started the process of interviewing people, and they will all come on board much before November.
All right, sir. Sir, given our vaccination challenge, one of the biggest vaccination drives anywhere in the world, what is the way ahead for vaccinating the entire population? And then, of course, in the closing, I'll ask you about the challenges and the opportunities for India. But before that, way ahead for vaccinating the entire population.
See, one is to make the vaccine available in the first place. So currently, we see there are only two companies which are making, which is Serum Institute of India and Bharat's Covaxin. So then we have a third one which is coming up, which is the Sputnik vaccine. And we also have heard recently that Biological Events is another company which is going to come up with a vaccine candidate. So as more and more vaccines are now available, then we would get to a certain size as to the number of doses that are required for the country would be close to at least about 800 million to 1 billion doses. So once that is done, then the next is the administration and the program related, which is handled by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So I think they also have, given the circumstances, they have done a good job in the short period of time that's available. And I think they are also coordinating well with the states to ensure that vaccination coverage is good. One of the things is that we need to really be careful about is vaccine wastage, because these are all multi-dose vials. That means they are all 5-dose or 10-dose vials. So if you don't get 10 people, then you are bound to throw that vial at the end of the day. So I think proper planning and should definitely reduce wastage. And as a result of reduction of wastage, that vaccine would be available to many people. So and some amount of education should also go on because there are still a lot of people who, I wouldn't say a lot of people, there are still some people who still believe about the, they hear the bad effects of vaccination. So I think a little bit of education here and there, both at the central level and state level, would ensure that quite a lot. Because ultimately, if you want to, control this or eradicate this disease, you have to get a sizable population vaccinated. And only when that happens, we will be able to, say that, okay, we have completely done away with this particular disease.
And what are the opportunities that lie ahead for India?
In terms of, once all this capacity is built up, then once we have taken care of our people, definitely there would be quite a lot of countries which would require our help, especially a lot of developing countries. Even today, 65% of UNICEF procurement happens from Indian manufacturers. So definitely India can play a very, very big role in trying to help all the other developing countries also get some level of vaccination done in their country by the use of vaccines made in India.
All right. And as they say that India is the pharmacy of the world, on that note, Dr. Anand, you joined us. Thank you so much for joining us and all the best for your endeavors for developing the indigenous COVID-19 vaccine.
Thanks a lot, Kriti. Thanks a lot. It was a good interaction with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.